Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Mindful Kind video blog. Thank you so much to everyone who watched the last episode and shared such lovely comments. I really appreciate it, and I've been really excited to do this episode today. So I thought that I would share a little bit about my journey with stress and anxiety and how it led me, to mindfulness. I started experiencing stress when I was quite young, around 13 or 14. I would just kind of yo-yo between my emotions. One day I would feel really happy and free and everything was wonderful. And then the next day I would be writing about how I hated myself and I didn't have any friends and I didn't even know what kind of person I was or who I wanted to be, and I felt lost, really. I know that I felt all of that because I wrote it all down in a journal, and I have it to remind myself, of what things used to be like. And I actually was going through it this morning and I found something that I thought I would share. So I wrote, Angie says I need to stress less, and I know that it's true. No one knows how often I feel panicked. I always have to think about things, and once it's on my mind, I just totally freak out inside my head. I wish I could control it, but I can't. I don't even know why I am so scared. And I think that kind of sums up a lot of what I felt when I was younger, and I took that feeling into my later teens as well. And even when I moved down to Melbourne for university at 18, I was still feeling a lot of stress. But I guess the way that stress came about for me was because I felt really anxious. So I would have these periods of very high anxiety and strong emotions, and I would repress them, not knowing how to deal with them, not knowing who to talk to about it or what I should do. And so I started micromanaging and controlling and planning and predicting and doing all of these things which I thought were helping me to manage and alleviate my anxiety. But what these strategies were actually doing was creating stress. So I went from feeling a lot of highs and lows to then feeling moderately stressed most of the time. And I think that going through this really showed me that I wanted to understand my own mind. I wanted to know why the stress was there, why I was feeling and thinking in the way that I was. And so I wanted to study psychology at university, and that's what I did. I moved to Melbourne and studied a Bachelor of Psychological Science, and during my second year, I started volunteering on a helpline at the Anxiety Recovery Centre, which is where I first really started to learn about mindfulness and what it was and how it could help as a stress management tool. So I learned what mindfulness was and I started to implement it myself. And I just felt so much relief because for so long I'd been feeling stressed from the moment I woke up until the moment I fell asleep, trying to plan and predict and manage and control and do all of these things that I thought were helping me to decrease my anxiety. It just was really this awful cycle that I got stuck into, I guess. And when I learned mindfulness, I found out I could take a break from my thoughts and the planning and all of that and to just experience the moment for what it was. I also learned so many different interesting benefits from what mindfulness could offer, such as being able to feel my feelings non-judgmentally, to express them appropriately, to know what I was feeling enough to talk about it with other people. Because I did find that from trying to repress a lot of thoughts and emotions, I didn't know how to describe them. I didn't know how to tell somebody else about them. I just knew that I was kind of panicking and spiraling out of control, and I didn't know what to do about it. So being able to talk really started to help me as well. And then I think mindfulness also just impacted a lot of different life areas for me. I started sleeping better and my relationships grew stronger because I didn't kind of have these anxious breakdowns every now and again, which is what used to happen quite regularly. I think that when you are repressing a lot of things, it all just builds up and eventually it has to come out. And I would describe myself as having this snapping feeling. I would almost for no reason, sometimes there was a reason, but I would just snap and I would cry, I would feel like screaming, I would feel like just running away and getting away from everything that was happening in my life, even if it was good things. I really felt like stress and anxiety controlled a lot of my life. Whereas now I do feel stressed and anxious sometimes, but I've learned that doesn't make me a bad person. It could be the result of anything. It could be hormones, it could be just busy times. There's all different factors which can contribute to how you feel, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And there are lots of different ways that I've learned to manage stress and anxiety over the years. And I thought that in contrast, I would actually share some of the journal that I have now. So we have journal from when I was 13 or 14 filled with, just really, really high highs and really, really kind of low lows. And then I have the journal which I've been keeping for about a year now, where I talk about the things in my day which are meaningful and which I would like to remember. So I really love this journaling practice. I do it most nights before I go to bed, and I could flick to any page and just having a productive day, working on the business with Deck and talking about our ideas for the animation of videos in my online workshops, being number 4 in the health category of the podcast charts, eating fruit salad with ice cream, just noticing all these little different memories, which are things I never really used to appreciate because I was so caught up in my own mind. I think that practicing mindfulness has given me the space to explore gratitude, to explore meaningful moments, to feel like I'm not a bad person. I think that my stress and anxiety was kind of fed by this belief that my anxiety, my stress was really bad and therefore I was bad. So I just thought that I would talk a little bit more about the stress management techniques that I use. First of all, deep breathing is a really good one for when I'm experiencing kind of strong emotions. Just noticing the journey of the breath as it flows in and out of my body. And I notice that sometimes that's all I can do in that moment when those really strong feelings are coming up and when I want to just run away. Taking those deep breaths, it's such a relief. And it feels like such a nice thing to do for myself in those moments because it gives me a chance to calm down, to be able to come back into the frontal lobe of my brain where rational thought is. I feel when I'm in that panic, flight or fight mode, it's very difficult to make choices. Another thing that I really enjoy doing when I am feeling stressed or anxious is doing simple tasks mindfully. So not multitasking or getting distracted. I think I used to use a lot of these simple tasks as opportunities for my mind to race ahead and to plan and be thinking about the future. Whereas now something like doing the dishes or taking a shower or brushing my hair or patting my dog or making the bed, I try to do these things with my attention in the present moment. And that used to be a really difficult thing to do. It's taken years, and even now I can still do something and be like, whoa, I just was completely not in that moment at all. And that's fine. But being able to choose when I would like to do this. So for example, if I'm washing the dishes and I notice that my mind's just thinking about something that's happening in a month's time and starting to plan and prepare for that, then I can bring myself back into the moment. I say, yep, okay, my mind's gone off. That's all right. I can focus my attention on the moment. What can I feel? What can I see? What can I smell? What can I taste? Tuning into the senses like I showed you in the first episode of the Mindful Kind video blog. It's become easier and easier to do things like that. Another strategy which I found really useful is to engage in self-care in a mindful way. So I used to think that I was doing really well practicing self-care fairly regularly until I realized that I was doing all these things for self-care, but I wasn't in the moment and experiencing them, which I think took away a lot of the power that they had. So for example, I might take a bath, and that's something that I find quite relaxing and calming. But if I spend the whole time in the bath thinking and planning, and again using that as kind of an opportunity to, try to prepare myself for the future, then I'm missing out on the self-care practices that I could be doing in that moment, appreciating the warmth of the water, or rubbing some kind of moisturizer into my skin, or putting a hair mask in my hair, and doing things quite mindfully. And actually I'm using that time to perpetuate or even escalate my stress. And the last thing that I find really important is to check in with my supports. So my boyfriend Deck is a great support for me, and we talk quite a lot about different things. So I always let him know, look, I'm feeling a little bit stressed at the moment. I might need a little bit of extra help around the house, or I might just need some time to myself, or, just kind of, I guess, letting him know what stage I'm at. Checking in with your supports is a great way to help manage stress because it allows you to vocalize what's going on inside you. And I find that in itself is quite cathartic. Also, something like keeping a journal. I think looking back on my journal from when I was young, and I felt like I had no one to talk to, even though there were lots of people I could have talked to, but I didn't know how. Having a journal to write things down was a huge relief and something which really helped me. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. I will be back again soon with another one, but in the meantime, you might like to come over to my website at rachaelkable.com. You can subscribe and join my members section for free, where I have worksheets and workbooks and checklists and mindfulness routines and meditations and all different kinds of things that you can access for free. So feel free to come and connect with me on social media as well. I always love to meet new people. I just want to thank Moose actually, because it took so long to record the first video, but he's been very quietly asleep on his mat this whole time, so this one was really easy to record. I hope you have a wonderful mindful week, and I'll be back very soon. So when we finished filming, I realised that it's only a couple of days until Halloween, and actually when this video goes live, it will have been Halloween already, and we have an epic costume for you. And I thought I'd show you guys what he looks like. Okay, let's go.